When you hesitate at the edge of your breakthrough, remember this one truth. Life is not waiting for your fear. It is waiting for your command. The universe cannot deliver while you stand still. It moves when you move. And in this very moment, God whispers to you with absolute certainty, step forward. The way is clear. Movement activates divine provision because life responds to intention in motion. Many people wait for the perfect moment or the perfect sign before they take the first step, but the universe does not expand around hesitation. It expands around decision. The moment you choose to move towards something with conviction, you awaken a spiritual law that begins arranging circumstances, opportunities, resources, and people in ways that were invisible before you acted. Action signals belief. Belief signals readiness. Readiness opens the way for supply. When you stand still, life treats your stillness as your choice. When you advance, life treats your movement as your decision to claim what already belongs to you. This is why waiting to feel confident is a trap that stops the flow of blessing. Confidence often comes after the leap, not before it. When you move despite uncertainty, you declare that you trust something higher than your fear. That declaration holds tremendous creative power. Every small step forward becomes a command to the universe that you are prepared for the next step, and the next step rises to meet you. Many people misunderstand divine provision and imagine that blessings appear in advance, while they remain passive. In truth, blessings appear in response to forward motion. It is the act of stepping into the unknown that activates what has been stored for you. Like a path that only lights up when your foot touches the ground, your provision becomes visible only after you begin walking. This is why hesitation builds walls while movement dissolves them. The moment you choose to act, your mind awakens to solutions you could not see before. Your intuition becomes clearer, and the right opportunities align with surprising timing. Movement ignites clarity because it shifts you from thinking about the path to actually walking it. Thinking alone can create more doubt, more imagined obstacles, and more reasons to delay. Action cuts through the noise and brings you into alignment with the truth that life supports bold intention. Divine provision is not earned through struggle. It is released through alignment. When you move with purpose, you show that your inner world is lining up with your desire. This alignment is what opens the spiritual flow. Provision is not only material resources, it is also inspiration, courage, timing, relationships, and inner strength. Each of these becomes more available the moment you make a firm decision and act on it. When you begin moving toward a goal, your imagination sharpens, your energy rises, your focus intensifies, and your spirit wakes up. You begin to attract ideas and insights that seem almost too perfect to be coincidence. These are signals that you have activated the law of support that responds to advancement. Movement is a declaration that you are cooperating with your destiny. Every journey you have ever admired in someone else began with a single step they chose to take before everything made sense. Fear dissolves when confronted, not when avoided. Fear grows in stillness but shrinks in motion. When you remain in place, fear has room to expand, to create stories, to exaggerate outcomes, and to convince you that moving forward is dangerous. But when you confront fear by stepping toward the very thing that intimidates you, the imagined threat loses its power. Fear thrives on distance. It lives in the gap between you and the action you need to take. Once you close that gap, fear is forced to reveal that it was only a shadow. A shadow seems large until you walk toward the light. The moment you move closer, its size diminishes until it disappears. This is how fear operates. It appears immense until you engage with it. Avoidance teaches fear that it can control you. Confrontation teaches fear that you cannot be stopped. Many people wait for fear to vanish before they act, but fear often vanishes because you acted. This is one of the greatest spiritual misunderstandings. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to move while fear is present, knowing that the divine supports you. Every time you face what you once avoided, you reclaim inner territory that fear had occupied. You strengthen your belief in your own resilience. You discover that what you thought would break you only bent you, and what you thought you could not handle was well within your capacity. Fear uses imagination against you. It builds false outcomes, worst-case scenarios, and exaggerated interpretations of risk. But the moment you face the situation directly, reality replaces imagination. You realize that fear was only a storyteller, not a truth teller. Fear dissolves through exposure. When you face what intimidates you, your nervous system adapts. Your mind reinterprets the situation. Your spirit becomes more grounded. What once felt impossible begins to feel manageable, then familiar, then easy. Growth always feels uncomfortable because it asks you to step into versions of yourself you have not yet lived. But discomfort is not danger. Discomfort is transformation. When you run from discomfort, you remain limited by what you know. When you move through discomfort, you break the boundaries that once held you. Every confrontation with fear expands your inner space and increases your spiritual authority. The reason fear loses its strength when confronted is because you shift from imagining life to experiencing it. Experience brings truth. Imagination can bring distortion. Fear thrives on what has not yet happened. It plays in the territory of possibility, never in the territory of certainty. The moment you step into action, you move into certainty because you are dealing with what is actually in front of you. Action quiets the mind because it changes your focus from worry to direction. It transforms your energy from scattered to centered. It realigns your perspective from what could go wrong to what you are actively doing. Facing fear builds trust in yourself. It teaches you that you can handle more than you think. Every challenge you meet becomes proof of your strength. Every risk you take becomes evidence of your courage. Every breakthrough you experience becomes a reminder that fear had been standing guard over a doorway to blessing. The doorway was never locked. Fear simply convinced you not to try opening it. When you walk through that doorway, you realize how many other doors have been waiting for you to approach. Confrontation clears your path. It breaks the illusion that you are fragile. It reveals that you are far more capable than the voice of fear ever allowed you to believe. Movement and confrontation work together. When you move forward, you confront fear. When you confront fear, you deepen your ability to move forward. This creates a powerful cycle that transforms your life from stagnant to progressive, from hesitant to decisive, from doubtful to unstoppable. Each new step strengthens your belief that the universe responds to your courage, and because it does, you begin to trust the process even when the path is not fully visible. You learn that clarity often comes after the first step, and that fear loses its voice the moment you stop listening to it. Life becomes more fluid, more aligned, and more supportive because you have stepped into the role of creator rather than observer. When you confront fear and choose movement, you experience a shift in identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who waits for circumstances to change and start recognizing yourself as someone who changes circumstances by moving toward your future. This shift is powerful because identity shapes destiny. When you see yourself as someone who takes action regardless of uncertainty, you naturally create more opportunities. When you view fear as something to face instead of something to avoid, your courage expands and your freedom increases. You break patterns that once kept you small and step into the larger life waiting for you. You only need the next step, not the entire plan, because life unfolds in pieces that are designed to match your level of faith. Many people wait for a detailed map before moving, believing that certainty must come before action. But certainty is rarely the starting point. It is usually the reward for beginning. When you demand to know the whole journey in advance, you delay your progress because the universe responds to trust, not to fear disguised as preparation. The next step is always enough because it contains the energy, direction, and momentum needed to reveal the following one. Just as a lamp only lights the space directly in front of you, guidance comes in measured increments so you are not overwhelmed by the full distance of your destiny. If you saw everything ahead of time, you might retreat from the magnitude of what you are meant to become. The fullness of your path is revealed through obedience, not through overthinking. When you embrace the next step instead of searching for the entire staircase, you free yourself from the burden of perfection. The desire to figure everything out creates paralysis, yet progress emerges. The moment you accept that the journey becomes clear as you walk it, the next step may feel small or even insignificant, but it carries divine intelligence. It positions you, strengthens you, educates you, and refines you for what is coming. Each step prepares you for the next one in ways that planning alone cannot. Planning without movement breeds doubt because the mind tries to solve what can only be understood through experience. Movement generates clarity because it allows life to respond. When you act on the guidance you currently have, new guidance appears at precisely the right moment. This is the rhythm of spiritual navigation, a rhythm that rewards trust rather than control. The next step is often something simple. A conversation, a decision, a phone call, a bold declaration, a small shift in routine, or a new attitude toward yourself. But simple does not mean small in impact. Simple steps open powerful doors. The mistake people often make is dismissing these steps because they do not look dramatic or life-changing. Yet, the path to transformation usually begins quietly. A single choice can redirect an entire future. A single moment of obedience can activate a chain of events that lead you to opportunities you could not plan for. This is why the next step carries weight. It is connected to a sequence of blessings that only appear once you choose to move. When you honor the small beginnings, you align with a greater outcome that has already been prepared for you. Focusing only on the next step keeps you grounded in the present. The present is where your power lies. Anxiety tends to pull you into the future, replaying everything that could go wrong. Regret pulls you into the past, where nothing can be changed. The next step brings your attention back to the now, where you are capable, aware, and equipped to take action. The present moment is also where divine guidance operates most clearly. When your mind is scattered by distant fears or memories of failure, your intuition becomes difficult to hear. But when you narrow your focus to what you can do next, your inner voice becomes stronger and more precise. You begin to sense the right timing, the right choices, and the right direction with surprising accuracy. The present moment is your meeting place with divine instruction. Divine law supports decisive choices because decisiveness signals alignment. When you make a clear choice, you activate a spiritual current that begins shaping possibilities around you. Indecision creates stagnation because it sends a contradictory message to the universe. A hesitant mind asks for movement while simultaneously resisting it. But a decisive mind becomes a magnet for assistance. The moment you choose a direction, life starts to cooperate. People show up, information appears, ideas arrive, and momentum builds in ways that seem almost orchestrated. This orchestration is not accidental. It is a reflection of the law that responds to certainty. When you choose with conviction, the universe treats your choice as a command and moves accordingly. Decisive choices also clarify your energy. When you are undecided, your energy scatters in multiple directions. You feel drained because your focus is divided. But the moment you choose, your energy gathers and becomes potent. A concentrated intention carries far more power than a divided one. This focus not only helps you move more confidently, but also aligns your emotional, mental, and spiritual energy with your goal. When all parts of you agree on what you want, you accelerate the manifestation process because you are no longer fighting your own resistance. Decisions do not merely shape outcomes, they shape identity. Every time you choose with clarity, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, guided, and worthy of progress. Decisiveness is a form of faith because it requires you to trust that your choice will be met with support, even if you cannot yet see how everything will unfold. This trust becomes a catalyst for breakthrough. Many blessings remain inactive because people hesitate at the point where they are meant to choose. A choice is often the key that unlocks movement. Without it, the divine cannot deliver what you have not yet decided to receive. When you choose, you send a signal that you are ready for the next phase. When you delay, life assumes you are not prepared. Choosing does not guarantee that the path will be effortless, but it guarantees that the path will open. Resistance may appear, challenges may arise, but movement begins the moment you decide. Decisiveness also strengthens your inner authority. When you repeatedly choose for yourself rather than waiting for life to choose for you, you develop a deeper connection with your intuition. You begin to trust your ability to sense what is right for you. This trust builds confidence that cannot be shaken by external opinions or circumstances. A strong inner authority becomes a spiritual shield against doubt. You are no longer easily swayed by fear because you have built a track record of choosing and seeing your choices bear fruit. Even when a decision does not lead where you expected, it teaches you something invaluable and redirects you with greater wisdom. Every decision becomes part of your growth, not a reason to hesitate. When the universe supports a decisive choice, you begin noticing synchronicities that confirm you are on the right path. You meet someone whose words illuminate exactly what you needed to hear. You stumble upon information that answers a question you were quietly holding. You receive invitations or opportunities that align with your direction. These moments are evidence that the divine responds to your clarity. They act as gentle reminders that you are not walking alone. The path is co-created through your choice and the universe's response. Together, the principle of taking the next step and the law that support decisive choices form a powerful foundation for progress. When you focus on what you can do now rather than what you cannot see yet, you stay connected to your power. When you choose with conviction, You invite the universe to support your movement. This combination creates an unstoppable force that propels you forward even when circumstances appear uncertain. It shifts you from waiting into creating, from doubting into trusting, and from feeling powerless into recognizing your role as a participant in your own destiny. Your path is cleared before you walk it, because life prepares the way long before you arrive at each stage of your journey. Many people believe they must fight through endless obstacles or struggle for every inch of progress, but the deeper truth is that what appears impossible often becomes effortless the moment you step toward it. The unseen world is always at work ahead of you, arranging circumstances, guiding encounters, shifting events, and opening spaces that match your next level of becoming. What looks uncertain from where you stand is already completed from a higher perspective. Delay, confusion, or fear comes from looking only at what the physical senses can observe, but clarity emerges when you understand that the path is not created by your own effort alone. It is revealed through your willingness to move. Every step you take activates the ground that has already been prepared for you. Many opportunities do not appear because people wait for confirmation before they act. They wait to see the open path before committing to walk it. But the path does not reveal itself in advance. It reveals itself under your feet. This is why the direction becomes clear only after you begin. Life responds to faith, not to hesitation. Faith is the recognition that what you need is waiting for you at the point of action. There are connections already set in motion, doors already positioned to swing open, and solutions already aligned with your destiny. But they cannot be seen until you enter the moment where they belong. You are not walking into emptiness. You are walking into preparation. Every challenge you face has an answer already placed ahead of you. Every question you hold has a response waiting at the right moment. Every need you will ever have has a supply set aside for your arrival. The path being cleared does not always mean the journey is easy. It means that nothing can truly block what is meant for you. Obstacles may appear, but they are temporary. Delays may happen, but they are part of divine timing. Resistance may show up, but it cannot withstand your persistence. When you understand that the way is prepared, you stop shrinking back at the first sign of difficulty. You recognize that challenges are not signs to turn around, but invitations to grow into the person who can handle the next level. The clearing of the path includes your development. You are being shaped as you walk. Strength is being built, insight is being formed, and resilience is being refined so that when you reach the opportunities prepared for you, you are not overwhelmed but empowered. The path is cleared because your life is not random. There is intention woven into every season, every detour, every delay, and every breakthrough. What feels like a setback is often the repositioning needed to align you with the perfect time and place. What feels like silence is often preparation happening behind the scenes. When you trust this process, you release the need to control everything and allow life to guide you in ways you could never predict. Control comes from fear. Surrender comes from wisdom. When you surrender to the truth that your path is pre-arranged, your steps become lighter. You no longer fear the unknown, because you realize the unknown contains what is meant for you. You begin to walk with a quiet confidence that does not depend on external conditions, but on inner assurance. As you recognize that the way is cleared, you also begin to see signs of alignment everywhere. Opportunities appear with perfect timing. People arrive who carry exactly what you need to know. Lost chances are replaced by better ones. Situations that once confused you suddenly make sense. The right resources appear at the right moment. This is not coincidence. It is confirmation. When you walk in alignment with what has been prepared for you, life responds by meeting your steps with support. This support becomes more visible the more you trust it. Doubt clouds your perception. Faith illuminates it when you fully accept that the way is clear. Every moment becomes an invitation to move forward rather than a reason to hesitate. Miracles arise through bold forward motion because miracles are not random events. They are the natural outcome of courageous decisions. A miracle is simply an alignment you were not expecting but were already prepared to receive. When you move with boldness, you activate forces that remain dormant in indecision. Bold action signals readiness. And readiness is what brings extraordinary results into your life. Many people long for miracles, but never step into the conditions that create them. Fear keeps them circling the same routines, the same thoughts, the same excuses. But miracles require movement because movement shifts your reality. It changes your environment, your mindset, your energy, and your opportunities. When you step into unfamiliar territory with courage, the universe rushes to meet you with support you could not have imagined. Miracles flourish in the space between fear and action. That space is where you choose to trust despite uncertainty. It is where you say yes before seeing evidence. It is where you walk into a new chapter without knowing every detail. This is the space where life multiplies your courage. You begin to experience breakthroughs that do not match your logic but match your faith. Suddenly the situation shifts in your favor. A closed door opens without warning. A solution appears where none existed. A path emerges that you never planned for. These moments feel miraculous not because they are rare, but because they occur when you take steps beyond your comfort zone. Comfort creates predictability. Courage creates possibility. Bold forward motion also activates the resources hidden within you. You discover strengths you did not know you had. You access creativity that lies dormant until you're challenged. You speak with more authority, decide with more confidence, and act with more clarity. These inner shifts create outer changes. Life responds to who you are becoming. When you rise in courage, your circumstances rise with you. Miracles are not just events around you but transformations within you. They reflect the moment you choose to move despite fear, despite doubt, despite uncertainty, trusting that something greater is guiding your steps. The power of bold action is that it collapses the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Many people stay stuck, not because the path is blocked, but because they refuse to step onto it. They wait for reassurance that everything will work out before taking the first move. But reassurance is not what leads to progress. Progress is what leads to reassurance. You discover the support, the timing, the resources, and the divine orchestration only after you begin walking. This is why courage creates miracles. It activates the assistance that has been waiting for you to take the first step. Bold forward motion also separates you from doubt. Doubt grows when you stand still because the mind fills empty space with fear. But the moment you act, doubt loses its power. Action interrupts worry. It replaces fear with direction. It transforms uncertainty into momentum. Once you begin moving, doubt no longer controls you because your energy has shifted from imagining problems to creating solutions. The more boldly you move, the more you break the patterns that once held you captive. You step out of limitation and into expansion. You become a participant in your destiny rather than a spectator. Miracles come to those who understand that movement is partnership. You move and life moves with you. You decide, and life rearranges itself to honor your decision. You walk, and the path opens. Each bold step pulls the unseen into the scene. What once felt distant becomes immediate. What once felt impossible becomes reachable. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Miracles are the natural reward for those who act with courage, trust the path, and believe that preparation has already been made for their arrival.